Hey guys, it's Eden. So today I just really wanted to do a bronzy makeup look. I wanted bronzy eyes, bronzy skin. I just wanted to be really glowy. And I also really wanted to play around with my Too Faced Sweet Peach palette again. I just love it so much, and there's so many different looks you can create with this palette. It doesn't have to be a peachy look. As you see, I'm not wearing any peachy colors right now. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I love these eyeshadows. So yeah, this is the bronzy look I came up with today. I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's just get into the video. Alrighty, so to start this look off, I'm going to be priming my eyes with my NYX Above and Beyond Full Coverage Concealer. This is in the shade Beige. I usually use a concealer to prime my eyes just because it's something I always have on hand, and I do think it helps prolong your eyeshadow. So I'm just going to go ahead and blend it out with a beauty blender. And now for eyeshadow, I'm going to be using my Too Faced Sweet Peach again. I'm just obsessed with this palette. I love it so much. I just think there's so many different directions you could go in with these eyeshadows. They're just beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and take the shade right here. This is called Peaches and Cream, and I'm going to be setting my eye base with that. Now, I just want you to keep in mind that you don't have to always use the same eyeshadows that I use if you want to recreate a look I'm doing, or just, you know, do like a similar look. Just use the eyeshadows that you have on hand, you know. Like, there's been a lot of times I watch makeup tutorials and I'm like, oh my god, I love that look, but I don't have those eyeshadows. So then I'll just try and do that look with the eyeshadows that I have, and I usually end up loving it. So it may not be exactly the same, but you know, the tutorial just gave you a little bit of inspiration. Alright, so now for my transition shade, I'm going to take the shade Puree right here, just this kind of mid-tone warm brown, and I'm just going to put this in my crease. It's a little darker than a shade I would normally just start off with, but that's okay. I really love this brush too. I got it recently. It's the Luxie 231 Small Tapered Blending Brush, and I really love it. Been using it like every time I do my makeup. Alright, so now that that shade is all blended out, I'm going to be going in with the shade Charmed, I'm Sure. And I'm going to be putting that in the crease as well with the same brush. I'm just going to be doing this a little bit lower. Focusing on the outer corner and then dragging it in. Now, to be completely honest with you, I don't know exactly where I'm going with this look. I just wanted to use this palette, and I wanted to use some colors that I didn't use in my previous looks with this palette. I'm thinking of going with a really bronzy look because those are just my favorites. I just love to be nice and bronzy. Just warm browns and golds are just my personal favorite. I think they just flatter everyone and they just are beautiful. So that is my goal today. And now with still the same brush, I am going to dip back into Puree. Tap it off. Now I always tap off my brushes also. You don't want to just dip in and have a bunch of excess eyeshadow on your brush and then put it straight on your eye, because then it's just going to be an overwhelming amount of pigment and it's going to be hard to blend out. So I always dip a couple times, tap it off, and then start blending because it just makes everything so much easier and smoother. And I'm just lightly doing this to make sure everything is blended nicely. And now that I've placed all that color there, you can see I have harsh lines here. That's not how I want it to look, so I'm taking my large fluffy brush and I'm going to move in circular motions like this, and see how already it's looking more blended. There's no extra product on this. This is the brush I used to set my eyeshadow base. Just go back and forth in circular motions and it just blends everything nicely. And I'm not too worried about the edge here because I do always clean that up with a baby wipe in the end. And then sometimes if you need to go back and forth, add a little more color, blend it out. That's what I do all the time. Just go back and forth until it looks how I want it to. I know sometimes in watching like makeup tutorials it looks like it was so easy, and you know, like, and you're wondering like, oh my god, why can't I make this look good? It's because it takes, one, it takes a lot of practice, and two, it's a lot harder than it looks in makeup tutorials sometimes, I think, because people cut out all the struggles and only keep the good stuff in there. I try and show as much of my look as I can in my videos, but I don't want to make them super long. I try and keep them like 15 minutes at the longest, which still I think is a long video, but that's just usually what it takes to do a whole face. And I like to keep my full face in the looks also because that's the kind of tutorials I like to see. I don't like to just see someone do their eyes usually. I want to see like the whole shebang, you know? So that is looking pretty good to me now. So I think I'm going to dip into the shade Caramelize. It's a beautiful bronzy brown shade. And I'm going to put that on the outer half of my eye. I'm just going to take a flat shader brush. Now, I don't think I'll need setting spray with this, just judging on the other shimmery shades I've used in this palette. They're very pigmented, so we shall see. Oh yeah. And I heard some people saying that the shimmers and everything in the shadow or in this palette are not as good as the chocolate bar palettes, and if that's the case, I really want to try a chocolate bar palette because I think this palette's amazing. Like with my Morphe shadows, which I love, I always have to add setting spray to the shadows to intensify them because they just aren't super intense on their own usually. I just love that shade. It's beautiful and nice and shimmery. I put that on like 2/3 of my eye, so now I'm going to go in with another lighter shimmer shade on the inner part. And I'm going to take the shade Luscious, which I did already use, but I put it on top of this peach shade, so I just want to use it by itself this time. Alright, so now that I have that Luscious shade on, I'm going to go back in with this brush that I used in the crease. And I'm just going to blend everything together. I don't want it to look like I just plopped some shadow on there. I want everything to blend seamlessly. And then, you know what? Just because I'm going to dip into Cobbler. It's like a lighter bronzy shade than this one here. And it does have some peachy undertones. I'm going to dip into that. I think I just want to kind of put it right here and see what happens. You know, it might add a little something to the look. And now for the inner corner, I'm going to dip into the shade Nectar. This is like one of my favorite shades in the palette for some reason. It's just so unique and beautiful. It's like a peachy shimmer. It's really light. It's gorgeous. I'm just going to put that in the inner corner. Now I'm going to create my wing using my favorite products recently, my Morphe gel liner in Slate and this small detailed brush from Morphe as well. I feel like these products together have just made it so much easier for me to do my wings. I always just like to line my eye first and then create the wing. Alrighty, so my wings are on now, and like I said, you don't really need a wing with this look. I honestly loved how it looked without the wing. Now I'm kind of wishing I didn't. Like I always love how a wing makes my eyes look. I feel like it just elongates them, pulls them up, and I just love it. But I did like kind of how soft this look looked without the wing. So if you're not comfortable with wing liner or whatever the case may be, I do think it would look really good without it as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and curl my lashes. Alright, so I'm not going to wear false lashes today because that's just not something I wear on a regular basis. So I'm first going to go with the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black Mascara. So now the eyes are basically done. I'm going to go into my face. So I'm going to be using this Rimmel Fix and Perfect primer. It's supposed to smooth, resurface, brighten, mattify, and protect your skin. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on my face. I just like to use like a pea-size amount when I'm using primers. I don't want to put too much. Especially if I'm using like a silicone primer. I never want to put too much because it'll make your foundation like ball up. So I'm going to focus this on the center of my face and then move it outwards. And this one isn't like silicone-y, it feels more like a lotion actually. And right here, seriously, my skin is so dry. This is the second day in a row it's been cold here in Florida and my skin is just like, what's going on? And I have like a huge horrible dry patch right there, but what can you do? So for foundation, I'm going to go in with the L'Oreal True Match. This is the shade W3, so hopefully it matches me right now. Oh no, that looks dark. Try and make it work. Try not to put too much. Be able to make it work. Usually if it's a little dark but I sheer it out, it'll be nice. You know what, actually? I think it's gonna work. This foundation's a teeny bit dark, so I am gonna blend it down the neck. I always blend my foundation down my neck and onto my ears, but especially when it's a little too dark, I'll blend it a little bit further just to make sure it doesn't look crazy, because this foundation actually matches my body like perfectly, if you can tell. My face is just a little bit lighter than my body because I do exfoliate it a lot more than the rest of my body, so actually I think this is like a perfect match. So I think I'm just gonna use my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind today. I'm trying to use products that I haven't used in a while because I do love makeup and I love buying it, and sometimes I'll buy something and really like it and then kind of forget about it, so. Alright, so now that my concealer's on, I'm going to set it with my RCMA No Color Powder. This is my absolute favorite powder right now. I just can't get away from it. And I'm going to go ahead and set it using this small Morphe brush. And I use that same powder to set all the other places I put concealer, just to keep them nice and bright, because I am going to be using a foundation powder to set the rest of my face. Now for the rest of my face, I'm going to use my large powder brush and my BH Studio Pro face powder. This one's in the shade 230. Swirl my brush and set my face. If I ever feel like my under eyes are looking a little too bright, I will just take a little bit of my foundation powder and put it under there, just so they're not looking crazy. And also, if you bring foundation down your neck, make sure you set it. It's really important. And your ears too. You don't want to forget, anywhere you put foundation, it needs to be set. So now that everything's all set, I'm going to go ahead and do my brows. I usually don't show this because it just like makes the video longer. So let me know if you guys want to see a brow routine, because I'll definitely be doing that soon if you guys want to see it. Alright, so now that my brows are done, I just remembered that I need to highlight under my brow bone. So I'm going to take the shade White Peach from the palette. It's just a nice light vanilla shade because I don't like a really crazy shimmery stark brow bone. So I'm going to go ahead and put that under my brow. Alrighty, so now I should probably do a little bit on the lower lash line. So I'm just going to take the same kind of smudger brush. I'm going to dip into the shade Puree, the first one we used in the crease. And I'm just going to put that a little bit on the outer corner. I just love this palette so much. Every time I use it, I just smell the peaches and it's just delicious. Whoever came up with the idea of scented palettes, I don't know if it was the owner of Too Faced or whatever, but whoever it was a genius. And then I'm just going to take a small brush and blend that out a little, just so it's not like a stark line down there. And then some mascara on the lower lashes. Alrighty, so now that the eyes are all done, I'm going to bronze my face up a little bit. I was actually planning on using my Jordana contour stick. I really love this, but I forgot to before I set my face. And I don't like to use creams after I powder my face, so I'm going to have to save that for next time. But If anyone's looking for a really good cream contour stick from the drugstore, this is $4.99 and I love it. It comes in 3 shades. This is the medium one. I got this one because the light one seemed like way too ashy, and this one was just like seemed like the perfect shade. So that's why I picked it up. I think it's great, really creamy. I'll link my last video where I used it for the first time. I'll put that down below in the description box. And I'll also put that with a couple of my other videos if anyone's interested in checking them out as well. So I'm going to be using my favorite palette. This is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Palette. I just love it. I'm going to take that same brush I used earlier to set my under eye, and I'm just going to dip into the banana powder and put just a teeny bit of that under there. It just makes everything look smooth, and it's just a beautiful powder. Brightens everything up. And I'll also put that on my chin and anywhere else I put concealer. And then I just got this new brush from Morphe. I want to use it to bronze my face. It's the M177. So I'm going to dip into this shade right here. This is Shadow Play. And see what happens. So I definitely want to be nice and bronzy for this look. And I have to say, upon first impressions, I really love this brush. The only thing is, I think it's natural hair, and all of a sudden I'm getting really stuffy and like my eyes getting itchy. And I hope I'm not allergic to whatever this is made out of, because I am allergic to horses, so let's pray I don't have an allergic reaction right now. I know this can't be made out of horse hair, so... Alright, so now just to contour my nose a little bit, just so it doesn't get washed out, I'm going to take a fluffy brush in the shade Subconscious. Just dip in there lightly and run this down the sides of my nose and up to my brow. And for blush, I'm just going to use good old Milani Luminoso. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous blush. It's one of my favorites. And I just love to kind of blend my blush into my bronzer up here on the top. I don't like to just pop it on the apples of the cheeks. I just don't like how that looks on me. And then I always go in and just kind of diffuse the blush a little. And now I'm just going to spray my whole face with the Mario Badescu Rose Water Spray, my absolute favorite. I just love that stuff so much. I'm just obsessed. So now, while that's drying, before it gets completely dry, I'm going to use my Kiko Milano water eyeshadow in the shade 208. I use this like every time I do my makeup. I just love highlighting my face with it. So I'm going to do this while the setting spray is still drying, because it'll make my highlight a little more intense. And now for the lips, I'm going to go in with a Dose of Colors liquid lipstick. I'm going to use the shade Bear With Me. So yeah guys, this is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.